Hey, so you have reached once again Level Up with Janet E. We're getting ready for Christmas season, so I got my tree back there and about to put up the stockings pretty soon, hanging them by the chimney with care. So, are you getting ready for 2022? Not just the happy season of Christmas, but after Christmas, getting ready for your goaling. So, are you goaling or are you just going? That's what we'll find out next on Level Up with Janet E. See you soon. Hey, my Level Up lovelies. I'm glad you're back. We are focusing today on goal setting. Get ready for 2022. So my question to you is, are you just going or are you goaling? I know goaling is not a word, but I'm just saying, are you goaling? So are you setting up your goals for 2022 or are you just going through the motions and not going anywhere but spinning your wheels as you're trying to get somewhere? So, and a lot of times I ask myself that question too with certain things, just making sure that I have my right focus and kind of get myself in check at times. All right, so let's find out what is the definition of a goal. So the definition of a goal, and I always have my handy notes. Definition of a goal is the object of a person's ambition or effort, or an aim to a desired result. An aim or a desired result is what they say. But if we look at really what a goal is, if we put in the word ambition, we put in the word effort, the object of somebody's affection, that's something that means that you're passionate about it. You're going to stay focused on it because you're passionate about it, because it's something you really want in order to not only achieve your personal goals, but maybe also your professional goals, and move on to that next level up. Okay, so there's a couple things I want to talk about today on when you're thinking about your goals, especially for 2022. How do you formulate your goals? And I'm not going to get real specific with that, but I'm talking about just overall in general, things to keep in mind as you're pulling together your goals and how you're going to get through and make sure that you make it through the journey to the other side. So, the first thing I'm going to talk about is what I talked about just now, about being passionate about what you're focusing on, which is your goal. The first thing we want to figure out and kind of factor into our minds when we're talking about goal setting, of goaling instead of just going, is, are you motivated by that goal to achieve that goal? So before you even get into the goal setting process of writing stuff down, making it plain, like the Bible says, let's take steps back and say, is this the goal for you? So you really have to assess, is this something that you're motivated to do, driven to not only start but finish? And if you're not going to be driven to not only start it but finish it, it may not be a goal. It absolutely is not a goal, because a goal has a finish line. A goal is something that you achieve and have an end result, just like the definition said. So if you feel like there's not going to be the motivation in order to finish it, then it may not be something that's a goal now. Now, that does not mean in the future that may not be a goal for you, but it may not be something that you want to achieve now, because you have to have that passion, that drive to be able to first actually commit to that goal, and be able to start that process of doing the other action items to make that goal successful. So that's one of the first things when we're thinking about goal setting and what goals do we want to achieve for 2022. First of all, what are you motivated to do? What do you like to do? These are the things we want to kind of have on our mind and meditate on as we're going through our goal setting. So that comes through with the next thing I want to talk about. As you're building your motivation to do a goal, what are some of the distractions or things that might get in the way, or obstacles that might get in the way of you achieving that goal? So a lot of times, let's say if you're a parent, you may have young children, and you're trying to go back to school, or you're trying to get your degree, you're trying to, open a new business. There may be things that are, that may be an obstacle because of time, your time commitment. or it may be an obstacle because of financial reasons. Maybe if there's not the funds available in order to achieve what you want to achieve or start that goal in that process. Doesn't mean that you can't start it, because there's angel investors out there. There's things that you can do in terms of prioritizing your time in order to make things happen. But you do have to factor that in to your goal setting. Okay, so what barriers, what obstacles, what distractions will be in place that may cause me to lose my motivation to finish this goal that I'm setting up? And you really have to be honest with yourself. You really have to be honest and see, and once again, you may have to write it down and be like, okay, these are the things that I'm motivated to do in order to make this goal successful and happen. And these are the things that are probably going to dissuade me or maybe a distraction. And because once you write that down, what you can do is also write down a solution to those. Okay, so if this is going to be a distraction, what is a way that I can make it not a distraction? Or is it inevitable that it's going to be a distraction? And then you're going to have to go back and look at the goal and say, okay, is this an attainable goal at this time? Once again, when we're looking at goal setting, it's not so much about if you can do it. A lot of times it's about when you can do it and how can you do it. Because time is of the essence, and you have the resources to be able, and time is a resource, to be able to get that goal set from beginning to end based upon the timelines that you're putting in place. All right, so those are the first two factors that you want to look at when you're doing goal setting and looking at this from going to goaling. All right, so I'm going to talk about the other two after the dance move. And today I want to kind of get into something that's very interesting that dancers know about, muscle memory. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit. All right, see you back. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about something that's important for dancers, and I think it's also important for athletes. I think anybody who does some type of physical activity, I think we all kind of know about this. It's called muscle memory. So basically, your mind is going through, let's say you go through the process of eating, your body goes through the process of breathing. When you're eating, you're using a fork or spoon or whatever, you're not really consciously thinking, I'm putting the fork down and I'm putting it to my mouth. You're not consciously thinking that because you've done it so many times. Same thing with walking. You learn how to walk, and after a while you don't have to think about, okay, how do I walk? If you really want to break it down and think about how do you walk, you can't explain it to somebody, but it's probably hard because it's just so ingrained into your mind. Something else like that we adults learn is typing. Typing, once you learn how to type and where all the letters are on the keyboard, your mind is not registering that you're pressing A, B, C, D, E, F, G, in different formations. It's not consciously registering, it's subconsciously registering that. So the same thing, and I got a psychology degree, hello, BA in psychology, okay? So, but the muscle memory comes from when you're doing a dance or you're doing any type of move, your body already knows what to do. And that's a lot of times why we as dancers will practice the dance over and over and over, almost to exhaustion and craziness, hundreds of times. And not only practice physically, we will practice in our head. So a lot of times when I'm driving, or I'll play a song over and over and over. My kids get so tired of it, but hundreds of times, because I'm practicing in my head, not only building the choreography for the dance, but also practicing in my head how it's going to look and pull together and connect together the dance. So, and they do say that if you practice and meditate in your mind, that it's almost like a physical practice. I do assert that physical practice is much better, because you're able to, utilize what your mind has saw and see if it really works out. So I do want to add that caveat that absolutely you want to make sure that you physically do it. So I'm just going to put an example muscle memory, like when I do a pirouette, which is the back here. I'm not necessarily thinking about step side, step back, turn up. I said, I'm not thinking those things. I'm just doing it because I know how to do a pirouette. because I was taught a long time ago, and I'm just I know how to do that. So when you're doing a phrase, which is in dance language, a piece or a part of a dance choreography. So it could be a 16 count, 8 count, whatever, however long or short the phrase is of the dance. You're learning that dance, and once again, your body, after it starts doing it so many times, will do it by muscle memory. So you're not doing it mechanically anymore. Now you're actually feeling the mechanics, the song itself. So once again, but once again, you're kind of doing everything automatically without thinking about it. All right, so I hope this was helpful. Remember, muscle memory is very important. It's very good. It's very helpful for a dancer in order to kind of really get into the music, get into the dance. All right, love you and see you later. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that little dance knowledge there. So continuing on with goaling for 2022, or building our goals for 2022. Want to go into point 3 and point 4. We already spoke about making sure that we are having a motivation for whatever we're setting our goals for, and then also just figuring out the distractions or obstacles that may come into place, because we want to make sure we get those either in order, or we really make sure that we are figuring out our goals. So either you're adjusting your goal to the distractions, or you're adjusting the distraction to the goal. Okay, so number 3 we want to talk about is just making an action plan. So that's usually where people start, but you want to start with 1 and 2 that I just spoke about. But the next thing, obviously, is to make an action plan. So you want to put something in, write it down, make it plain, just like the Bible says, in order to build upon what you're trying to do. Because a lot of times when you write something down, you'll see if it makes sense or not, first of all. And secondly, is it doable? Does it make sense? Is it something, the action plan will also include steps in the process to be able to get that done. So the action plan should include timelines, or a time frame. Okay, I want to get this goal done in 6 months or a year. And keep in mind that it's not set in stone. So don't beat yourself up ever for not achieving a goal in the allotted time that you want to achieve it in, because God may have another path, another reason for why you are taking so long, or it's going quicker than you think it should. So always kind of remain open and willing to adapt to changes that happen with your goal. That is another big thing with setting up an action plan. An action plan is not set in stone. An action plan is a plan of movement. It's a plan to get you moving forward into your goal. It's not a static plan. It is a plan that should be tangible, that's allowing you to now move forward and move forward with purpose. But once again, it's not something that if things change, you shouldn't be able to adapt to and make up for that change. Okay, very, very important point, because things will change, things will be altered, things will come out of left field, and you're like, what in the world? You got, excuse me, in your mind, you got to have a plan B. And we're not talking about scrap everything from your action plan, but have alternatives in mind for if something goes awry and doesn't respond or react the way that you want it to, and that will happen. It's called life. Hello. And then the final thing I want to talk about, and we're just going to go right back to the beginning, like we hit the repeat button, is stay motivated. So once you hit that or put the action plan into effect, set up the timeline, set up the different things you want to put into action in order to make that goal happen, now you want to continue to stay motivated. And not only stay motivated, stay accountable, not only to yourself but to other people on achieving that goal. And what I mean by staying accountable to other people is maybe have an accountability partner. Maybe have someone who's trying to do a similar thing or has the goal themselves, and now you're both holding yourself accountable to achieve that goal. And that's also a person that you can speak to, whether it be family member, spouse, a friend, a coworker, whatever, someone you can speak to about some issues that you may be having with your goals, and maybe they can give you a fresh insight into something to look at or something to think about. So accountability partners are not just there to be like, hey, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. They can also give you fresh insight. So what I like too is having a mentor or someone who's able to give you insight, and that's their main role, is to give you insight about some strategies and things you can do to achieve your goal, because they've been there and they've achieved that goal. Usually, definitely, you want to pick a mentor who has been there, done that, and they're able to pass that knowledge on to you. So once again, we're hitting the repeat button. Once you set up that action plan, now you're continuing to stay motivated, because it's not just a destination, it is a journey. So as you're going through the goal process, once again, timelines may change, some other things may change in your goal setting, but ultimately, you're holding yourself accountable and you're being motivated by the ultimate course of achieving that goal, whatever you're looking to do. All right, so I always bring in the Bible, so I'm bringing up Jeremiah 29:11, which is, the plans I have for you are for good, not for evil, for a future and for a purpose. And that's what God wants for us. He wants us to have a future and a purpose, and He wants our plans to be good, never for evil. So know that anything that you're doing is going to be for His good, as long as, and for purpose, as long as you're committed, motivated, and moving forward according to His will. So I thank you so much for sharing time with Level Up with Janet E. I want you to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you haven't done so already, make sure that you do that now, and to make sure that you don't miss this valuable content. All right, so I will see you next time on the next Level Up with Janet E. Love you all day, all the time. Till next time.